Today, we might actually be looking at the final nail in the coffin for one of the most popular genres to ever exist on the platform. The entire donation game era is facing a serious threat right now, and the player base is completely split on whether this is a great update or a total disaster. In this video, we're going to look at the official follow-up from the higher-ups regarding strict new transfer rules, and explore how they changed the Roblox economy forever. We'll be diving through the brand new limits they just announced, and breaking down the roadmap for the rest of 2026, and then along with that, we'll be checking out how prominent community figures are reacting to the news. So make sure to leave a like and add this video, and let's get into it. Now to begin, we need to establish the context of how we even reached this point. If you remember from the last time we talked about this situation, the platform announced that starting on May 29th, they're completely disabling the ability to buy game passes for one game while you're inside of another game. This completely destroys the core mechanics of donation games like Zonate, because those experiences rely entirely on cross-game purchasing to function. To replace this old system, the platform introduced a brand new feature called the Transverse API, but it came with some extremely harsh restrictions. It was locked behind a strict $5 per month subscription just to send some Robux, and it imposed a super low limit of $1,000 per month, while also requiring tedious parental approval for any user under 18. The corporate staff claimed these changes were purely for safety and to prevent fraud, but the community quickly realized that these visual rules ruined the social nature of virtual tipping and basically taxed the community just for trying to participate in a fun social feature. So following that severe community backlash, the staff decided they need to do some major damage control. Now 10,000 is obviously better than 1,000, but we really have to ask ourselves if this actually solves the problem or just puts a small band-aid on a gaping wound. Because digging deeper, a staff member posted onto the forum announcing that as the first step toward that goal, users with two-step verification enabled and in good standing will become eligible for that increased monthly limit of 10,000 starting next week. They're also trying to provide more autonomy by dropping the parental approval requirement for transfers between users ages 16 and older in most regions starting next month. Looking further ahead to fall 2026, they plan to add a new parental control, allowing parents to set daily and monthly transfer limits. And later this year, they will roll out a trusted friends feature where transfers will go through immediately after parents approve those specific friends, and they also say that parents can stay informed and revoke that access whenever they feel like it. Now looking deeper into the post, under sectioning about strengthening account accountability through the Plus subscription, the staff argues that supporting instantaneous transactions between strangers requires a high safety bar because they introduce risks like scams and coercion and account takeovers. For senders, they need a high confidence signal that an accountable person is involved, and the Plus subscription establishes that bar. He reiterates that they take no platform fee on transfers, and the subscription requirement exists solely to improve the accountability. Now this is where we have to pause and look at the reality of the situation, because it is very clever marketing to say you are dropping the tax to 0% to help a community when you're simultaneously locking the entire feature behind a monthly paywall. You are still paying for the platform, it is just taking a different form. And while stopping scams is a good thing, I honestly don't think you need to charge people $5 a month to verify they're a real person, especially for a feature like this. The post then provides a table comparing the different transaction types. The deprecated Game Pass cross sales had a 30% platform tax, leaving 60% for the recipient and 10% for the facilitating experience. The new transfer API has a 0% platform tax, given 90% to the recipient and still 10% to the experience. And then group payouts remain at 0% platform fee, with 100% going to the recipient. On the surface, giving 90% to the recipient instead of 60% sounds like an amazing win for creators, but there is a huge catch that completely ruins this for top earners. The transfers are designed for personal gifting, and as such, they're not eligible to be cashed out into real-world money. They claim current thresholds enable roughly 95% of users who previously transacted via cross-game sales to do the same with transfers and get more net currency. They say that transfers are not meant to pay collaborators, and if you're paying out team members, you should use group payouts where 100% of funds can be cashed out. This completely ignores how games like Please Donate actually function, because the people dropping huge amounts of currency in those games are not business collaborators, they are fans and big spenders looking for social attention. By making these new transfers ineligible for cashing out, they have destroyed the financial incentive for major creators to participate in the donation economy. You can have 90% of the pie, but if you cannot take that pie out of the oven, it does not really help you pay your bills. The post then moves into building more flexible transfers, starting with the safety-first approach and planning to explain functionality as they learn for real users and abuse patterns. They share a roadmap with a table of upcoming updates, including on next week, they're rolling out higher transfer limits when your account is secured. This impacts users with two-step verification enabled and accounts in good standing, making them eligible for 5,000 per day and 10,000 per month. In fall 2026, they'll give parents more control over daily and monthly limits, configuring specific limits directly to parental controls, although the overall account limit still applies. Finally, later this year, they will let us give repeat approvals for trusted friends, where parents can approve friends once, and then transfers will go through immediately, while keeping the parent informed with the ability to revoke approval at any time. Now let's look at how the community is responding to this, because the reactions are widely different depending on who you ask. We have a post from Creamcraft who says he still does not think killing donation games is the right move, but this is way better, and he's happy that the limit was increased. It is a very resigned take, basically accepting that the old system is gone and trying to find a silver lining in a new one. Then we have someone named Tallcow who has a completely different perspective. They think that this is actually an amazing change, because now people can send £100 worth of currency to others without the platform taking any of it away. They wish people realized how much of a good change this is, because for the first time ever, people can transfer 100% of their funds to others. They point out you can do this up to $10,000 a month, and while they wish the limit was removed or increased to 100,000 or 1 million, they think the change is otherwise perfect. Now Tallcow is focusing entirely on the peer-to-peer aspect outside of the game environment, which is great for friends, but completely misses how this impacts game developers who rely on that 10% cut to keep their servers running. We have a very strong opinion from Maxwell, who calls this the final nail in the coffin of please donate and says good riddance. They expect the platform to continue adding benefits to the Plus membership over time, with the end goal making it so good that it does not make sense to play without the subscription. They point out that it makes sense from a business standpoint because a corporation can rely on consistent income every month for those memberships. They say everything is a subscription now because it makes corporate income consistent and predictable, and the platform is simply following suit. They do think it is a mistake to not offer a small amount of currency in the base package, suggesting a balance of even 500 would make it significantly more appealing. They think we might see this change later in the year as data about the subscriptions is collected. Maxwell is looking at this purely from a corporate strategy perspective, and they're probably right about the financial motives behind this push for recurring revenue. So this begs the question of where this leaves us and developers who pour their hearts into making these games. The corporate team has essentially decided that the era of uncapped social tipping is over, and they're replacing it with a heavily regulated subscription-based system that traps the currency inside their own ecosystem. They are eliminating the tax to make it look like the win for players, while at the same time removing the ability for creators to cash out those tips into real money. It is a brilliant business move for a company trying to appease shareholders, but it is a rough blow to the organic culture that built the platform. The fact that they're willing to deprecate cross-game sales entirely shows that they're no longer interested in developers creating interconnected economies. They want everything funneled through their official tools with their official limits and their official paywalls. It feels less like a platform built for creators and more like a walled garden where every social interaction has a price tag attached to it. The future of please donate in games like it is pretty bleak unless they somehow convince the executives to create a dedicated tipping system that actually understands how these communities function. Now, I would really love to hear what you all think about this entire situation, and whether you agree with the people celebrating the update, or the developers mourning their loss of their projects in the donation game genre. It generally feels like the corporate team is entirely disconnected from what actually made the platform so special in the first place. Instead of helping the communities that build these massive games, they're actually choosing to suffocate them behind paywalls and rigid corporate policies. If this is really the end of the road for these types of experiences, it is going to leave a massive hole in the digital economy that a subscription service will never be able to fill. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And before I end this video, I want you guys to make sure to leave a like, hype this video, and help me get to 20,000 subs before the end of this year, because that will mean the world to me, guys. And with that being said, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.